Hi, I'm Rachel McLeod. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, mental health therapist, and emotional wellness coach. And I help people do the brain work for resolving symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress. And so that's what I do. The brain has a beautiful process for this, and when this process is working, symptoms start resolving very, very quickly. We start feeling better, more present, more calm in our body, and it's pretty phenomenal. It can feel like magic, but really, it's just healthy brain function. Your brain's supposed to be resolving symptoms for you, and so that's what I specialize in. And today, I want to talk about how to stop overreacting. So I know this is a big, big deal for many people. Um, if you're a parent, this is, and you have symptoms of anxiety, depression, traumatic stress, or maybe you're not aware of those things, but you do know that you are overreacting. Um, this is for you, right? We're going to talk about this. Parents are really wanting to not overreact because they know how hurtful it can be. Um, this is something we're trying to take out of our intimate and romantic relationships. We're trying to take this out of work. This is not part of what we want in our work performance, whether it's in our own business, whether we're managing, supervising, leading, or just working. Um, we want to be accurate. We want to be reacting accurately and according to our authentic values and our morals. And we want to be able to be proud of ourselves at the end of the day. And this overreacting thing can sure put a huge damper on that and cause us tons of problems. Um, People talking about how being labeled as an overreactor, you're so overreactive. Um, uh, Stunting our relationships, stunting our movement forward, helping us have shame spirals and all sorts of challenges like that. Um, so this is really important. So what I want to talk about first is what is overreacting fundamentally, like from the brain's perspective. If you understand this, you will understand so much more of what's going on. Um, Overreacting is when your brain brings up more to the situation than is actually in the present situation. Um, and what's going on there is your brain is working very hard for you to make sense of what's going on in your world. And so what it does is it really looks at this situation. It's taking in all the sensory information from your ears, your mouth, your nose, your skin, um, about what's going on outside of it. It's also registering what's going on inside, um, and your brain is bringing what it thinks to the information it thinks is relevant to this situation. And um, and in this case, when we're overreacting, it's bringing stuff that doesn't actually belong in this timeline. It doesn't belong in. It's not the information that it's gathering is not just from here. It's from what happened in the past, this other situation. He said this before, she said this before. I've seen this look on someone's face. Your brain is going really fast to what makes sense of what's happening here, and it's adding more to the story. And that's really confusing to us because our brain is like right hand, it's our way of understanding the world. And here it's dumping out all this stuff that may or may not be relevant. And so it's flooding our system and we are overreacting. Sometimes we are overreacting um, uh, visibly inside of ourselves. Sometimes it's emotional. Sometimes it's we're having angry outbursts. People are like, "Whoa, that was a lot," and and we're surprising ourselves and others. They didn't know all this was present because they're not experiencing all the other stuff that is being brought here, um, and they're like, "Whoa." We are not on the same page, right? And or maybe you have friendships and relationships with people around you that also do the same thing. That's typical for us, and your reaction, sets off their overreaction, and now it's just a storm of overreactions. And so, what's going on here is that there is more here than the present moment is calling for, and your brain doesn't know that, and it doesn't know. It thinks all this stuff should be here, and um, and what we can call this is some flashbacks. This and what we're having, these are emotional flashback, mental flashbacks of the thoughts flashing from other timelines. Um, visions of other timelines can overlay our reality, and we can misperceive the situation entirely. That's part of the other reaction, is that the reality is calling for this and we're over here in left field. We are off. We're not accurate. So um, this is something that brains resolve. Brains have processes for this, and it's not about this is we don't want to just solve this with behavior change. We want your brain to figure out what belongs here in this moment and what doesn't, and we want it. And there's two benefits to this: is that once it can figure this stuff out, it really stops bringing stuff up here, so it makes your everyday moments um, easier to navigate, because you're getting only the information that you need, right? I mean, imagine someone coming and telling you all the stories, and you're supposed to pick out the information in lightning speed, electrical speed, and navigate this well. And so we want your brain to do that for us. And we want it to know, to go through its process for deciding what's here, what's there, what's not here, where all this stuff belongs. Um, so, and I have some things here. Um, the stuff that your brain could be bringing up normally is past events, unresolved emotional distress, inner conflict. I got a good little list going here. Limiting beliefs, and those sorts of things that causes brains to have challenges under, like, figuring out what's going on. And being accurate. So um, okay, I want to go in like 17 different directions right here. So, but I'm going to go in one direction. That's what I'm going to do. Um, so my notes tell me to talk about how to resolve this in the moment. Um, and but I think I want to skip to how to walk your brain through the process of figuring out what belongs here and what doesn't. Now, because when we have events, um, emotional distress from the past, limiting beliefs, inner conflict, um, those are actually things that your brain has never been able to process yet. And so they're things that are not stored properly in the brain. And so what actually happens is that stuff starts running through the nervous system. It goes up the brainstem. It hangs out in the limbic system, and the limbic system is the first to interact with this information, because its job is to keep you alive and to survive. And so it's designed to take information first. Um, this information, because it's unresolved and is usually painful, because all the not painful stuff zips through this process quickly. If it's painful, your limbic system will register as that as pain and a threat, and shift into survival mode: fight, flight, freeze, faint, or fawn. That's where you'll get your overreactions. That's where you're going to get anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress symptoms. You're going to notice all that happening because your survival system detected and decided you're under threat and you're off. You don't get a choice about this. And so this is how brains work. And so, but really, what we need is we need this information that's coming up from the past that your brain thinks belongs in all of these moments where you're overreacting. We need it to take this stuff and get it through its process for digesting and understanding and working with and making, right. It's just like the digestive system in the body. It makes healthy teeth and bones, and oh, we need some more of this, let's use this stuff for this. And it does this with our boundaries, our reactions, our ways of being in the world, our morals, our values. It goes through, it uses all of our events to update what we know about life and the world and what belongs where. And it goes through different parts of the brain, like a little assembly line. It goes through a part of the brain that puts a date stamp on it. It says this is from 1976. This is from, this. And so it's the first time your brain will understand what timeline it's working, that this stuff even came from. This is important because now that this has a date stamp, your brain is like, oh, doesn't belong here. We're winning. Okay. And this happens instantly. Your brain does this because it's electrical. It's going through the electrical state. Like, it's your whole brain is working together. All the little factory departments are open. It also puts words. There's a factory point where it gets words put into it. Oh, there's words for this. There's beliefs and information sorting and starts rewiring, and your brain reads this data and it's like, oh, we've got things misunderstood here, let's go make some corrections. It starts rewiring. We are activating your brain's process for rewiring more accurately. If these information that comes up gets kicked out by the survival system, doesn't get to go through any of that process, so it just goes back into the body only to come back up again and add to your overreactions. So it's so important that this stuff gets resolved. This is why we want to do trauma work. This is why we want to resolve past traumatic events. This is why we want to resolve emotional distress, nervous system dysregulation. This is why, because, and resolve inner conflict. People get inner conflict when our two values and morals clash. The brain doesn't know how to do this. There's a process. We can get this through the processor so they can sort this out. It's their job. But when we get that conflict, it kind of, the brain registers that as a threat, like, I don't know, and so there's kind of this whole malfunction that takes place, and it gets kicked back out, and it's like, well, we'll just move forward. We can't resolve that conflict, but we'll just move forward and figure it out. Well, the best solutions are understanding is resolving the conflict. And so, as all good conflict resolution masters know, and the brain is good at this if it can, but this process gets blocked. And so it's so important that this gets processed in the moment when you are, and this is the same. This is how you do both of this stuff is the same. In the moment when you're having overreactions, the absolute best thing you can do for yourself is to regulate your nervous system. There's tons of interventions out there for this. Um, but our nervous system regulates through, we need to use the body to send information of safety in the way that the limbic system understands. We need to be sending that limbic system, hey, we're safe, hey, we're safe, in its native language, because it does not care what you think, what you know, what your values are, what your morals are. If you've overreacted and screamed and bit people's head off verbally, that's saying, that that's not your morals and values, and that part of your brain does not care. It's like, well, we survived. Good job. So, and that reinforces that behavior. But if we can at the same time influence that part of the brain, that even though this pain is coming through, this conflict is coming through, this past event is moving through, and is moving up for processing, we're safe. We're safe. And that's why we want to use interventions that use the body, because that's what the limbic system is paying attention to. This is much different than talk therapy strategies. If you actually take talk therapy strategies and combine them with nervous system regulation, you are winning. And there's tons of strategies for this. I have four interventions that I rely on heavily to do this work. It's when we're talking about complex childhood trauma or disorders of anxiety and depression or traumatic stress. We have quite a bit of work to do, and these interventions really are fast. They're effective, and they can be relied upon consistently once we know they're a match for the person. That's something I walk people through, how to find a matching intervention. I have a program for this, a free program that I've made available that I use to train my clients to learn three of the easiest and the interventions with the least amount of side effects. And so I invite you to, I've made that available on my website. You can go on there, try some interventions out, see if they're effectively move your system from survival mode to processing mode. That's really what you want. You can use that in the moment. You can get a lot of healing work done in the moment if you can remember your intervention and use it then. And there's strategies to do this outside, and those strategies are more advanced. I have a program that walks people through the exercises of using the intervention with these exercises. And so we're actually helping the nervous system understand what belongs in what moment. And that's really what resolving symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress is, that your brain sorts the things out and is moving accurately in the world. And we walk your brain through that process. It is very fast and very effective. And you start noticing resolution and growth right away. So it's really instant gratification on so many levels. If you've got complex PTSD, a little less instant gratification, but a lot of times when I'm watching people with this, I can see the shifts in their symptoms. their brain function really. But they typically, we with complex PTSD really need to apply the interventions quite a bit because the amount of we're behind and deficient in nervous system regulation from childhood. So there's quite a bit of regulating that needs to take place. So, but even if it's just doing a little bit of work, it's helping your brain do a little bit of work. It's winning. This is awesome, and really can be used to make big, big growths and shifts and healings. And it's really what I rely on to help people move their this brain process. And my step-by-step process is what I rely on to help people move their anxiety, depression, and trauma disorders into remission. And so my program for that I walk my clients through is also available on my website, because I know that some people will heal by themselves that don't want to work with a professional, but they need a roadmap, and other people that are working with beloved therapists and helpful, supportive therapists that don't do this work, and so really they want to use this work alongside their therapist, and I absolutely encourage that. So. That's available to you there. And I really hope that your future is full of accurate reactions um, and just growth. This same process of getting things processed is the same process the brain uses for growth, maturation, and mastery. So not only are we resolving symptoms, but we're getting growth, maturation, and mastery, which are just, we need to keep growing. We need to keep mastering um, different parts of our life and different behaviors and different skills, right? So we want this working. So this process open and running. And if we've got signs of symptoms of anxiety, depression, traumatic stress, we already know out the gate this part of this process isn't functioning well in your brain. And so um, and it's designed to malfunction under these situ- circumstances. So we want to provide the circumstances that it needs to function. So really getting in there and doing that. So wonderful connecting with you. I hope this helped. If you have questions, comments about this, please drop them into the comments. I am paying attention. I will get back to you, even if it takes me a little while. And I will talk to you later.